So, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to today's workshop, Failure is the Way Forward. My name is Humaina Aman. I am a junior psychologist at MindTribe and I specialize in anxiety, depression, relationships, and stress. And our co host for today is Guntasha Sabawal. Guntasha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natasha Sarwal, and I'm a psychologist with MindTribe. And I have been in the mental health field for past 6 years now. And I specialize in cases of emotional regulation, depression, anxiety. And I'm looking forward to having an interactive session with everyone here today.
Thank you, Guntasha. So, the title for our workshop, Failure is the Way Forward, it is inspired by the international bestseller that has been transformative for many. So the book challenges traditional notions of success and failure, offering a very refreshing perspective on how our setbacks can actually be the stepping stones to our greatest achievements. So before we begin, there are certain instructions for all of you. So please keep your mics off and as well as your videos turned off. So if you have any questions or any confusions, please raise your hand or type it in the chat box. We'll get back to you. And also, I just wanted to let you know that the workshop is being recorded, but only the presentation and the audio will be recorded. Your names or the chat box will not be recorded. All right, let's start. So now I have some questions for you all. We have several statements over here. So how many of the following statements do you identify with? So at the end of all of these statements, we'll be scoring them. So if you identify the statement as a yes, please you can score it as 1. Or if you don't identify with that, you can score it as 0. So please give me a thumbs up if you have all understood this. Yes, Kanika, any confusion? All right. All right. The first question we have is, do you believe that you don't have the skills or knowledge to achieve something? So if it's an S, then you can score yourself in 1. If it's a no, then 0. All right. So now this feeling is quite common and can often lead us to view the failure as the reflection of our capabilities. So, as we move through these questions, try to be honest with yourself. The goal is not to judge or criticize, but to gain awareness of how we perceive our own abilities and limitations. Okay, so next we have to the next statement, that is, do you procrastinate to the point that it affects your performance or ability to finish on time? Okay, now procrastination is another common challenge that many of us face, and it often stems from a fear of failure or a lack of confidence in our abilities. So, when we delay tasks, we might feel a temporary sense of relief, but in the long run, it can lead to stress, missed opportunities, and underperformance. Next, we have the next statement, that is, do you tell people that you will probably fail so that expectations remain low? Now, this is a form of self protection. So, by setting low expectations, we think we can avoid disappointment and criticism if things don't go as planned. However, this mindset can also limit our potential and prevent us from fully committing to our goals. So, acknowledging this behavior is essential from breaking the cycle. Alright, we can move to the next statement, that is, you underestimate your own abilities to avoid feeling let down. Now, this is a protective mechanism where we will be diminishing our own capabilities to shield ourselves from potential disappointment. While it might seem like a way to manage expectations, It can also prevent us from taking risks and discovering our true potentials. Also, remember that identifying with these statements is not a sign of weakness, but an opportunity to growth. So, each of these behaviors can be transformed into stepping stones towards a more empowered and forward thinking mindset. The next statement that we have is: do you worry that you will disappoint others if you fail? We often fear letting down those who believe in us, whether it's family, friends, or mentors. So, this fear can create additional pressure and make us more risk averse. Right, I think we can move to the next statement that says, oh, yeah, does this sound like you? If I put it off till tomorrow, I won't have the deal with the fear of failing at it today. All right, let's move to the next statement that is this something you have ever done? Making a minor mistake and feeling like you've failed at life completely. Both of these seems like same to you. All right, we are done with the statements. So if everyone is done with scoring, just add on to all of those. If anyone wants to have a repeat at some questions, just let me know so that we can go back and see at the question and again come back. All right, let's move to scoring. So this is a scoring. So if you have the total of your scores comes between 1 or 2, it's a mild fear of failure. If it's between 3 to 4, it's moderate. And if the scoring is 5 to 7, that's a severe fear of failure. Okay. All right. Did anyone raise their hand? All right. So now that we have an interpretation of the fear of failure, I think we can move to the what is the meaning of failure and what is this fear of failure. All right. So now that we have explored how you might identify with certain failure-related behaviors, we can now understand the meaning behind these fears. So first, let's talk about atikiphobia. So atikiphobia is an intense fear of failure, and it's more than just a passing worry. It's a persistent and overwhelming dread that can significantly impact various aspects of our lives. And people with atikiphobia may avoid challenging situations. They might struggle with low self esteem and experience anxiety that can interfere with their ability to function effectively. So, understanding this fear helps us recognize that it's not just about occasional nervousness, but it's a more deeper issue that can shape our responses and behaviors. Now, atikiphobia can manifest in different ways depending on the situation. For instance, someone might fear failing a job interview, a presentation, or even a social interaction. So, now this fear often leads to avoidance or procrastination, as we have discussed it earlier. So, it's essential to recognize which specific situations trigger this fear so we can address them more effectively. Now, how is this related to other mental health conditions? So, atikiphobia is often intertwined with other mental health conditions such as anxiety, depression, and perfectionism. So, people who experience intense fear of failure might also struggle with feelings of worthlessness, chronic stress, or excessive self criticism. So, understanding these connections can help us approach treatment and the coping strategies more effectively. Now, let's move on to the characteristics of it. So, understanding these traits can help us recognize how this fear manifests in our lives and affects our behavior. The first being anxiety. So, one of the most prominent features of the fear of failure is anxiety. So, this anxiety can be overwhelming and persistent, and it can cause significant distress and can affect your daily life functioning. And it often leads to excessive worry about potential outcomes and what might go wrong. Next, being avoidance. So, to escape the discomfort of failure, individual may avoid challenging situations altogether. So, this leads to success or failure, and this avoidance can range from procrastinating on other important topics to steering clear of opportunities that can lead to success or to failure. So while it provides temporary relief, avoidance, as it provides temporary relief, it ultimately stops or limits your personal growth and achievement. Now, the fear of failure often comes with a sense of losing control. So, individuals might feel that they have no influence over the outcome of their efforts, which can lead to a lack of motivation and a reluctance to take initiative. So, when faced with the possibility of failure, some individuals experience a sense of helplessness. So, they may feel powerless to change their situation or improve their chances of success, leading to resignation or a attitude of being defeated. And also, this characteristics is closely related to helplessness. So, powerlessness. So, it involves a belief that one lacks the power or ability to influence outcomes, which can be paralyzing and even and prevent taking more effective steps towards goals. And recognizing these characteristics helps us understand the emotional and psychological impact of the fear of failures, and by knowing about these underlying issues we can it can help us in to develop strategies to manage and overcome this. All right, next, why do we fear failure? So first, being always being associated with negative feelings. So failure has traditionally been linked with negative emotions such as shame, embarrassment, and disappointment. So from a young age, many of us are conditioned to view failure as something to be avoided at all cost. So this association with negative feelings creates a powerful aversion to failure, making us fear it even when the stakes are relatively low. Okay. Yes, this would be uploaded on the YouTube. Alright, so the next base, failure can also threaten our self identity and the image we have for ourselves. So it challenges our self concept and can trigger feelings of worthlessness or inadequacy. When we fail, it may feel like we are not only failing at a task, but also failing as a person. So this threat to our self image can be deeply distressing and can deter us from taking on new challenges. Alright, so let's move to the next thing. We'll be exploring on why we fear failures. So there are three more significant causes for it. That is critical upbringing, rigid definitions, fear, and trauma. So, critical upbringing. So, growing up in households that are highly critical or unsupportive can profoundly shape our fear of failure. When parents or guardians constantly criticize or fail to support their children, it creates an environment where failure is seen as unacceptable. And this upbringing instills a very deep seated fear of making mistakes and can also lead to a chronic self doubt and anxiety about not meeting the expectations that have been set. Now, how does rigid definitions of fear is a cause of fear of failure? So, rigid definition of success and failure create a narrow set of expectations that can be very difficult to live up to. So, when success is defined in inflexible terms, any deviation from this standard can be perceived as failure. So, this black and white thinking limits our ability to see the value in learning and growth that comes from making mistakes. Now, trauma. So, experiencing a difficult or even traumatic failure can leave lasting scars. So, negative consequences resulting from failure can create a strong aversion to taking risks or attempting new challenges. Now, this trauma can be deeply ingrained and may require significant effort to overcome. Next, we'll move on to the impact the fear of failure have on us. So, first being the low self esteem. So, engaging in negative self talk and having low self confidence are common symptoms of low self esteem. So, when we constantly criticize ourselves and doubt our abilities, it reinforces the fear of failure. Now, this can create a vicious cycle where our fear of failing prevents us from taking the actions necessary to build confidence and self worth. The next being poor motivation. The fear of failure can significantly diminish our motivation. So, when something seems to be challenging, we might simply give up or refuse to get involved. So, this avoidance behavior stems from the desire to protect ourselves from the discomfort and disappointment associated with potential failure. Unfortunately, this leads to missed opportunities and a lack of progress. Next, being the self sabotage. So, engaging in self sabotaging behaviors that limit our chances of success is another impact of the fear of failure. Now, this can take many forms, such as procrastination, setting unrealistic goals, or not putting up with necessary effort. So, by creating obstacles for ourselves, we can attribute any potential failure to this external factor rather than our own abilities. Does any of you recognize any three of this? Just give a thumbs up if you can relate to this. Or you can type in the chat box. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So now we'll move to why should you look at failure differently. Okay. So to truly embrace the idea of looking at failure differently, let us delve into the concept of don't try. So now this idea revolves around the notion that once we stop fearing the pain of our negative experiences, we can truly challenge ourselves without being held back by anything. So, the fear of failure often stops us, preventing us from taking risks or stepping outside our comfort zone. However, when we let go of this fear, we open ourselves to new possibilities and opportunities to grow. So the quote, it has this mindset perfectly. It shows the mindset perfectly of what we have discussed. So it means facing our fears head on and taking action despite them. It's about not letting the potential for failure deter us from pursuing our goals or dreams. So think about moments in your life where fear of failure held you back. What opportunities might you have missed? How might things have been different if you had embraced the challenges without any fear? So, if we adopt this mindset, we can push past our limitations and achieve things we once thought were impossible. By not letting the fear of negative experience dictate our actions, we free ourselves to take on life's most challenges with courage and determination. And this shift in our perspective will allow us to grow, learn, and ultimately it will help us in succeed in ways we might never have imagined. Next being another important reason to look at failure differently is to understand that happiness is a problem. So there is a common myth that achieving certain goals or acquiring certain things will bring us happiness. So we often think if I achieve X, then I can be happy. If I look like Y, then I can be happy. Or if I can be with a person like Z, then I can be happy. However, this mindset can lead to a never-ending chase where happiness is will always seem like out of reach to us. So true happiness only occurs when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy. Oh, am I not audible? Yes. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
All right. Ayush, I think it's an error from your side. You can just leave and join again. All right, let's continue. So, true happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. Now, this means you are embracing the challenges and difficulties that come your way and finding fulfillment in the process of overcoming them. So, happiness is not a destination but a journey, and it is found in the ongoing process of tackling and solving problems that matter to you. So, you can reflect on your own life and goals you have set for yourself. How often have you thought that achieving something specific would bring you lasting happiness? Or how did you feel once you achieve it? Did the happiness last? Or did you find yourself setting new goals and facing new challenges? So you can reflect it by yourself through your own life. Now, discovering happiness through a process of consistently solving your problems means finding joy in the journey rather than waiting for a specific outcome. So it's about embracing the ups and downs and finding satisfaction in the process you make along the way. So by understanding that okay, happiness is a process and it's not the final destination, we can shift our focus from fearing failure to enjoying the challenges and growth that come from solving meaningful problems. And this perspective will allow us to find true and lasting happiness. Let's move to the next idea, that is, you're not special. So, in our society, there is a belief that we must constantly strive to be extraordinary and exceptional. While ambition and striving for excellence can be positive, the relentless pursuit for being special can be damaging to our mental health. And it sets unrealistic expectations and it creates a constant pressure to outperform others and ourselves as well. And now the cure to this is to accept that Much of what you do and who you are is ordinary and average. Now, this acceptance doesn't mean giving up on personal growth or settling for mediocrity. Instead, it means recognizing and embracing the reality that it's okay to be ordinary in many aspects of our lives. This acceptance can lead to a greater peace of mind and reduce the stress and anxiety associated with trying to be exceptional all the time. It's like, eating your veggies or vegetables. So, embracing the bland truths of life in order to grow healthier and stronger. So, just as a balanced diet is essential for physical health, accepting the ordinary aspects of life is crucial for mental health. So, it will help us in appreciating the simple everyday moments and find contentment in the present. So, embracing the idea that you're not special allows you to focus on what truly matters and find joy in ordinary. So, it will help you in appreciating the small everyday victories, small achievements that you have made, and it will reduce the pressure to constantly achieve the extraordinary. The next being the next concept we have is the value of suffering. So it's important to understand that what is objectively true about your situation is not as important as how you come to see the situation, how you choose to measure it and value it. So this means that the way we perceive and interpret our problems can have a significant impact on our experience and emotional well-being. So we get to control what our problems mean based on how we choose to think about them and the standard by which we choose to measure them. And now this perspective will help us in finding the meaning and value in our suffering rather than being overwhelmed by the objective facts of a challenging situation. And we can reframe our thinking to see the growth and learning opportunities it presents. So you can question yourself like, how did your perception of a problem influence your experience? So did you see any obstacle, or were you able to find some value or lesson in it? And by constantly choosing how we measure and think about our problems, we can transform our suffering into a source of strength by recognizing what went wrong, what lesson did we leave, what value did I get to learn from this. For example, if we view a failure as a reflection of our inadequacy, it can be demoralizing and discouraging for us. However, if we choose to see it as a valuable lesson and an opportunity to improve, it becomes a stepping stone to future success. Now, this shift in the perspective will help us to navigate the challenges with a more positive and a more proactive mindset. So, by understanding the value of suffering and how our perceptions shape our experiences, we can take control of our emotional responses and find meaning in our struggles. Is a reaction or a response based only on how we perceive? Majorly, yes, it is. If we are having like for the example which I gave you, like if we are going through a failure and we perceive that okay, this is my inadequacy be to perform an activity. So if I perceive it in that way, it will be more discouraging to me. So now if I perceive the same failure as something to learn, like what mistake did I make here and how can I improve it? So if I take it, perceive that in such way, it will help me in improving myself, and it can be a stepping stone for the success of it. Okay, could you? All right.
Could
Yes,
you
I can
please
do
say,
that.
hello, excuse me?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit inadequacy, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. So, for example, if you're going through a failure, for example, I have this presentation to present. Now, it did not go as I thought I would go. Now, that is a failure on my part. So, if I take it as an inadequacy for myself, so if I have to tell you on what is inadequacy, so it's the insufficiency, or I can say that that I like this is that I lack something. This is what I'm lacking. So yeah, feeling like you're not enough, or you're feeling like that. Okay, I like this skill set, or this is not my sense of expertness. I'm not expert in this. So that lacking something would be inadequacy. I hope I cleared that up.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Understood. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right. So yes, somebody asked for me to repeat what I said in the last line. Okay. So by understanding the value of suffering and how our perceptions shape our experiences, so we can take control of our emotional responses and find meaning in our struggles. And this will empower us to face difficulties with greater resilience and optimism. All right, let's move to the next thing, that is the concept of you're always choosing. So the quote, whether we like it or not, we are always taking an active role in what's occurring to and within us. So this emphasizes the continuous and active role we play in our own lives. So this means that consciously or unconsciously, we are always making choices about how we respond to the situations, how we perceive our problems, and how we navigate our challenges. So once we understand that our problems are of our own choosing, we will feel empowered. And this realization gives us a sense of control over our lives. So instead of feeling like victims of our circumstances, we recognize that okay, we have the power to shape our experiences and our outcomes through our own choices. So we might still have a lot of work to do, and even some pain, but we feel in control of that struggle, knowing that we have chosen our path. We can approach our challenges with a more proactive mindset. We are ready to tackle the work ahead and grow from the experiences. So if we embrace this idea that we are the ones who is always choosing, we can transform our relationship with failure and difficulties. And also, this perspective will allow us to feel more in control and empowered even in the face of challenges. Next, the next concept we have is you're wrong about everything, but so am I. So, this idea challenges the common perception that learning is about moving from being wrong to being right. So, instead, it suggests that learning is the process of evolving from very wrong to being less wrong. So, this shift in perspective allows us to view mistakes and failures as natural and essential parts of the learning process. So, when we accept that we are wrong about many things, it opens us up to the possibility of change. It allows us to let go of the need to be perfect and to accept the continuous journey of growth and improvement. And this mindset will encourage us to be curious, to ask questions, and to seek out new knowledge and experiences. And being wrong, it will bring the opportunities for growth. So every mistake or incorrect assumptions we make provides a chance to learn something new and refine our understanding. So this process of constant refinement, it will help us to become more knowledgeable and skilled over a period of time. So embracing the idea that we are all wrong about many things allows us to approach life with more humility and a willingness to learn. And this perspective fosters a growth mindset where we see challenges and failures as opportunities to become better and more knowledgeable. Yes, Bhuvi, the whatever questions will be asked here, it will be through audio. Yes, and it will be added to the video, which will be uploaded on the YouTube. All right. Now, what is failure is the way forward. Now we have a video over here which explains how failure is equals to success. So let us just watch it.
Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures. J.K. Rowling's, who wrote Harry Potter. Her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed." These people succeeded because they understood that you can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. You have to let them show you what to do differently the next time.
All right. Do anyone have any questions so far or anything? I see a lot of claps. So this video will help us understand, okay, this failure is just a stepping stone for our success. We learn from our failures and we improve ourselves, and then we go to the path of failure. All right, let's move on.
Some of the most successful.
Okay. Yes. Now let us explore the concept of the failure success paradox. So the quote, improvement at anything is based on thousands of tiny failures, and the magnitude of your success is based on how many times you have failed at something. So this includes a fundamental truth about success and failure. So improvement and success are not a linear processes. So they are built on the foundation of repeated failures and learning experiences. So each small failure is a stepping stone towards greater achievement. So the more we engage with and learn from our failures, the more we refine our skills and increase our chance in success. So consider your own journey in any area of your life. So it can be personal, it can be professional. So how have repeated efforts and setbacks have contributed to your growth? So recognizing that each failure is an opportunity for learning and improvement will help us to embrace the process rather than to turn away from it. So the paradox lies in the fact that our greatest success are often a direct result of our willingness to fail repeatedly. So it is through these failures that we develop resilience, gain insights, and build the skills necessary to achieve our goals. So as you move forward, remember that failure is not the opposite of success, but a crucial part of the path to it. So embrace the process, learn from each experiences, and use your failures as a chance for your success. Next. So to illustrate the failure success paradox, let's consider the analogy of child learning to walk. So now think of a child learning to walk. After falling down countless of times, that child doesn't simply say, "Oh, I guess walking just isn't for me. I'm not good at it." So instead, the child continues to try, repeatedly getting up after each fall. The process of learning to walk involves numerous attempts and failures, but each fall is a step towards mastering the skill. Yes, do you have any question? Okay. Yes, Srishti, you can unmute and speak.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is how do we figure out what lessons to be learned from the failure? Like sometimes I'm unable to recognize my mistakes and what led me to the failure. So like you mentioned that failure is a stepping stone towards the success, or like we learn from our mistakes. But the problem with me is I'm unable to recognize my mistakes. Once I'll be able to recognize it, then I'll be able to get to the solution of it, but I'm not able to recognize my mistakes and what led me to the failure. So if you can help me in that.
All right. Thank you so much, Srishti, for that question. So, yes, like it's mentioned of, okay, I don't know your name in the chat box. Self awareness is very essential when it comes to recognizing what mistakes are we doing.
Okay.
So, see, recognizing a mistake from a failure involves understanding the context and the impact it has had.
Hmm.
So, a mistake is typically it can be an error, or it can be lack, a wrong judgment, or it can be your action. Uh,
Hmm.
so, those things which can be corrected over a period of time.
Hmm.
If you, like, for example, if you have had a failure in your life, just analyze what all decisions you have made, what actions you have taken, and what judgment have you done over there, and just analyze, okay, what can I do better over here, what can I change, what can be corrected.
Okay, so the analysis part has to be done from myself itself.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
should be
uh,
yourself.
so it's not that if I go to a therapist and I explain the situation, that therapist will be able to help me in analyzing this situation, is it?
They might be helpful in providing you a perspective, third hand perspective. Like, for
Hmm.
example, if you are failing to understand where you are going wrong,
Hmm.
they might help you. They might be a guidance for you.
Okay. Got it. And
They
like
might,
you just
yeah.
mentioned about self-awareness, what
Mhm.
would you suggest? Suppose, like, if I take my example only, I'm not a self-aware person. So how can I, what's the path to self-awareness?
Okay, so the part to self awareness, it requires a lot of time. So
Hmm.
I don't think I can, cover each and everything in the sessions. So
Mm-hmm.
if you do want, we can have an individual session, so where we can go more in depth on this based
Hmm.
on your experiences and how can you be more self-aware. So there are several other practices which we can do, that is mindfulness. So
Hmm.
mindfulness helps us a lot in being self-aware.
Okay.
So we can discuss on how can you uh, what what did I say that? How can you like adapt it in your life?
Sorry, couldn't hear you properly.
All right. So mindfulness is, we can, if you have an individual session where we are discussing on your life journey and where you went wrong and your life decisions and everything. So that way we can understand, or I can let you know how can you let mindfulness be a part of your life. How can you adapt it in your life to be more self-aware?
Okay. Okay, got it. So only mindfulness can help, or are there any other techniques as well?
There are many other techniques. So, but mindfulness is one thing which helps a lot.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, and also so it also differs from individual to individual, so it might work for you and it might not work for you. And regarding that, we can discuss many other. We can explore.
Oh, this also happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Shrishti.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Baljil. Yes. Do you have any
Yes,
question?
yes, yes. Hi, first of all, thank you so much for conducting this program because I never thought that I needed it, but the moment I listened to your few first lines, I was totally shaken. I
Hmm.
have been writing in my diary since my teenage is that I'm 41 years old now. So I've been writing in my diary since my teenage that I am a huge failure, I'm a failure. And then I have been working on myself for the past 4, 5 years.
Hmm.
And for self-awareness. And I thought that I have already covered a lot of this, a long distance. But when I heard your perception towards failure, it really shook me inside. And I got to know that how I have been always overcritical of me, and I didn't know. My friends would also tell me that we have never seen such a person who is so much overcritical, and I didn't know the answer. Today I got the answer. And now I'm really intrigued to know that how even perfection is related to failure. So, matlab, I mean, if you have that thing of being perfect, is it again somewhere connected to failure? I'm really keen to know about this thing.
Yes, thank you so much for the question, and thank you. I am glad to hear that the session is helpful for you. And
Mm.
yes, perfection and failure are very often closely related. So the pursuit of perfection can lead to failure, and it can be due to the unrealistic expectations we have, the excessive pressure we put on ourselves, and the fear of making mistakes. So I'm a perfectionist myself, so I understand that okay, we need things perfectly. We we put excessive pressure on ourselves to make things more perfect. And we have this unrealistic expectation which we have for our own self that okay, this has to be done this way, it has to be this way. So that will lead to uh, the fear of failure. So, and also striving for perfection may also cause procrastination. It's like individuals can delay the action to avoid imperfection. So we take a lot of time to uh, be perfect in what we are doing, so that it might also be lead to procrastination. So, so failure can be a valuable learning experiences. It highlights the areas of growth and improvement, and accepting that failure is a part of the process can lead to
Uh,
progress and ultimately excellence.
so this
Yes.
means that this is a complete cycle, striving to be perfect, fear of failure, self-sabotaging, and then again uh, self-criticism to keep yourself away from the sense of failures and keeping your expectations lower so that you are saved from feeling that failure. So this is like kind of a huge big circle interconnected.
Yes, it is all
Can we say that?
interconnected. Yes, you can say that it's all interconnected. Uh, or like we say, if we are someone who are perceiving perfection, anything below what we see as perfect seems like failure to us. So that way, it's a cycle. Yes. And it's someone in the chat box had written that being perfect is subjective. Anything less than that achieved is equivalent to failure. That is rightly being said. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has really resolved a mystery in my life. And I'm pretty much sure that once I'll sit with myself and I'll draw all that chart, it will definitely help me.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question.
Yes.
All right. Then let's. Okay, as we were talking about the analogy of child learning to walk. So if you have a child in your home, or if you have seen a child growing up, so you might have observed that after falling down countless of times, the child doesn't simply say, okay, walking is not for me, I should just give up, or I'm not good at it. Instead, the child continues to try repeatedly, getting up and trying to, and it was a lot of attempts and failures, but each fall is a step towards mastering the skill. So this analogy highlights a very crucial point, that just like a child learning to walk, we must approach our failures with persistence and resilience. So the child's determination to keep trying despite frequent failures is a perfect example of how success is built on repeated efforts and overcoming setbacks. Now let's move to this. So the let's explore the concept of the pain is part of the process. So just as one must endure physical pain to build stronger bones and muscles, emotional pain plays a crucial role in developing greater emotional resilience. So when we push through physical challenges, our bodies adapt and grow stronger. Similarly, when we confront and endure emotional pain, we develop resilience. So, experiencing emotional pain is not a sign of weakness, but a natural part of the growth process. So, this pain contributes to a stronger sense of self, increased compassion for others, and generally a happier life. So, by facing and working through our emotional struggles, we become more resilient and a better equipped person to handle future challenges. So, remember, just as physical pain is necessary part for building strength, emotional pain is essential for developing emotional resilience. So embrace this pain as a valuable aspect of your journey towards a stronger and more fulfilled life. Next, we'll determine myths and facts about fear of failure. So the first sentence, that is, failure is avoidable. Is it a myth or is it a fact? What do you guys think? Just type in the chat box if you think it's a myth or if it's a fact. Fact. Myth. Okay. Yes, right. So failure is avoidable. So this belief suggests that with the right strategies, precautions, and efforts, we can entirely avoid future. However, in reality, this is a myth rather than a fact. So, while we can take measures to reduce the likelihood of failure, it is impossible to eliminate it entirely from our lives. So, failure is an inherent part of any learning and growth process. It provides valuable lessons and insights that helps us to improve and adapt. So, even the best preparation and planning, there will always be unforeseen challenges and obstacles that can lead to failure. So, while we can strive to minimize the risk of failure, it is not something we can completely avoid. Next, we have is failure objective? So, this suggests that failure is an absolute and universal measure of not achieving a goal or meeting a standard. So, and also it implies that failure can be clearly defined and universally recognized, regardless of individual perspectives or context. What do you guys think? Is it a myth or is it a fact? Yes, it is a myth. We'll take questions at the end as we are running out of time. It's very clear we have short period of time to complete this. So we'll come at the end of the session. We'll take up any questions that you have. Yes, it is a myth. Failures is not purely objective. Excuse me. Yes. So while there are objective criteria for failure in certain situations, The overall perception of failure is influenced by personal perspectives and context. So, embracing this subjectivity can help us navigate our challenges better. Next, we have failure is not the enemy. Now, this suggests that failure should not be viewed as the negative force working against us, but rather as an essential and constructive part of the learning and growth process. Yes, it is a fact. Failure is not the enemy. Instead, it is a powerful ally that we have in our journey towards success. So, viewing failures as a natural part of the process helps us to approach it with more positive and more proactive mindsets. So, while failure can be challenging, it is not our enemy. It is a crucial component of the journey towards success. And it offers us opportunity for growth and learning along the way. So, next we have success is an event, not a process. And this suggests that success is a singular, definitive moment or event that signifies the end of the journey. And it also implies that once you achieve this moment of success, the process is complete. Yes. So, success is not merely an event, but it is an evolving process that requires persistent effort, learning, and also adaptation. So, accepting this view will help us remain engaged and motivated throughout our journey. Yes, the next we have is failure is reversible. What do you guys believe? Is it a myth or is it a fact?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Can you please repeat the last slide that you just showed? I was writing that line that you just said.
Yes, this one?
Yeah. Can you be a little slow because I'm writing it up?
Yes, all right.
Yeah,
Can I
please go
move to the
ahead.
next? Yes,
No,
thank
no.
you.
If you can just explain this thing, like you said, now it's an ongoing process, something like that.
Yes, all right,
If you can
I'll do
just
that.
repeat that, yeah.
Yes, okay. So, so in reality, the success is more accurately described as a process rather than a single event. So, while there may be specific milestones or moments of achievement that we recognize as success, the journey towards success involves continuous effort, growth, and also adaptation. So, success is not merely an event, but an evolving process that requires persistent effort, learning, and adaptation. So, embracing these views as it will help us in remaining engaged and motivated throughout the journey. And also, if you want to go back and listen to it, it will be uploaded on YouTube. So, you can always go back and listen to it again.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So, yes, we had certain answers for this. Okay. Yes. So, in fact, failure is often reversible. So, while failure can be challenging and a little bit disheartening experience, it does not necessarily mean the end of the road. So, many failures, as we have already discussed, is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and make changes that can lead to an eventual success. So, while failure can be tough, it is not necessarily permanent. With effort and with perseverance, many failures can be reversed or transformed into opportunities for growth and success. Let's move on. So, next statement that we have is failure is a stigma. So, what does this mean? So, it suggests that failure is not just an individual experience but carries a social stigma that negatively affects how others perceive us. So, it implies that failing can lead to embarrassment, judgment, or a loss of reputation. We have a thumbs up, yes. Okay, so the yes, it is a fact. So in reality, Failure often carries a stigma in many cultures and contexts. So people may fear failure because they worry about being judged or seen as incapable by others. So this stigma can create a barrier to taking risk or pursuing new challenges, as individuals may avoid situations where they might fail to protect their self-image or their social standing. So, while failure often carries a stigma, recognizing and addressing the stigma can help us to approach the failure with greater openness and resilience. The last statement is failure is final. So, is this a fact or is this a myth? Right, it is a myth. Failure is not final. So, failure is not the final verdict, but a part of process that can lead to eventual success. Alright, now how to overcome fear of failure. So, the step one we have is to recognize that you're putting way too much emphasis on what others think of you, and that needs to stop. So, many of us are heavily influenced by the opinions and expectations of others. We worry about how our failures might be perceived and fear of judgment or criticism. So, this external focus can increase our fear of failure and prevent us from taking necessary risks and pursuing our goal. So, here's the key insight of this. At the end of the day, life isn't about meeting other people's expectations, it's about pursuing your own goals, values, and passions. So, when you shift your focus away from others and concentrate on what truly matters to you, you'll find it easier to face challenges and embrace failure as a part of your own personal growth journey. Next, step two is project the best case scenarios always. So, when facing a new challenge or considering a risky activity, our minds often move towards potential negative outcomes and what could go wrong. We often think, whenever we are taking a challenging activity, we often think, okay, what could go wrong in this? What might be the negative outcome of this? So, now this tendency to focus on worst case scenarios can heighten our fear of failure and discourage us from taking action. So, how do we counteract this? So, make a habit of visualizing the best possible outcome of any situation. So, by regularly projecting positive scenarios, you, you will train your mind to see success as a real and attainable possibility. Now, this will shift your perspective, which will help in boosting your confidence and motivation. Next step we have is accept the idea that failure makes you more confident person. So failure is often viewed negatively, but accepting it as a part of your journey can significantly enhance your confidence. So each time you face failure, you gain valuable insights and experience that contribute to your growth, and this process helps you discover your true self and understand your strengths and resilience beyond just your successes. All right. So now we've come to the end of this session. So this failure is a failure is the way forward is based on a international bestseller, that is Mark Mason's The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. So it's a book. If you are interested, you can always read this book. It's a very interesting book. So any questions?
Which book could you please repeat again?
It's on the screen. The author is Mark Masons, and the book name is the Subtle Art of Not Giving Up.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
All right, let us just move and then we'll take questions. So, MindTribe's counseling offers. So, We provide counseling at a competitive rate of 750 rupees per 45 to 50 minute of session, and we also extend of generous 20% discount to students. And there are also various packages which are being offered. And yes, I saw this question in the chat box that yes, a certificate will be issued, I think, after a few days on this workshop. Yes. So we provide affordable counseling. There is free group therapies, and we have workshops. And if you want to contact us, this is the email ID hello@mindtribe and the WhatsApp number to contact us. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope this was an insightful session. Yes. Let us have some
Can you
questions.
show the previous slide, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And could you just share about the YouTube? You said that it would be uploaded on the YouTube. I missed the initial first 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yes. So this session is being recorded from the beginning, so it will be uploaded on YouTube. But only the presentation and the audio will be present there. All of your names and anything and the chat box will be kept confidential.
Okay, and the link would be shared like on the WhatsApp group.
I'm not sure, Velo, what is the process for that?
No, I don't
Yes,
know about
the
your
link
YouTube
shared
link,
on
like
the
where your
WhatsApp.
this thing would be posted.
It will. MindTribe has its official YouTube account. It will be posted over there. Yes, Guntasha, were you saying something?
That the links for the video will be shared on the WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. So, yes, Bhuvi, do you wanted to ask something?
Ma'am, actually, many people believe that, oh, I'm 26, or I'm in this age, what can I do? And they just freak out because of that. And also, I've seen many interviewers uh, uh, makes us believe, uh, like they just put such insecurities, and I don't know if it's true or not, but um, in this case I do feel like that failure is not an option. And I asked about this in the Q&A section also. Then in this case, what can we do? Because interviewers see these type of situations in a very negative way, and it's really creating a very heavy impact.
All right. So you're talking about a job interview.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your question in the chat box was many times it happens that people are not able to live their life normally and when they're judged on the basis. Okay. So what we can do here is that, as we have already discussed in previous slides, you you can always try to improve yourself based on understanding or analyzing how can you improve. So if an interviewer is giving you any critical feedback, rather than take it in a very negative manner, you can take it as a positive way, and you can try to uh, analyze ki, okay, they are saying something, maybe it might be right, and what can you what can I do to improve myself? Or you can even question them, okay, can you please suggest, or what can I how do I improve myself, what is lacking in me? So that way you will understand, okay, this is something which I can work on, and you can work on that, and you can take that as an stepping stone towards your success. It's all about how
Yes.
you perceive it.
Uh, okay. So I want to just मतलब it creates a very pressure um, on the mind that okay, we have limited time and we can't afford to make a mistake. And that fear of job or that fear of interviews, uh, uh, it really control the mind. I mean the
Yeah,
mind of that
I can
person.
understand that. Yeah. Mind of the interviewer.
I mean the person who is giving the interview, he or
All
she can
right.
yes.
So you're saying that the because of this extreme pressure, that it will impact your mindset when you're going through an interview. Did
Yes,
I
it
perceive
really,
it right?
yeah, that pressure that we can't afford to make a mistake here because uh, then it will lead to, uh, I mean, delay, uh, and
Okay. Uh,
I mean, they will, that person will think that how much time left for me, and if I will make a mistake, then I will just uh, I will be 29 or 30 this year.
all right. Yes, I got that. So I can understand it's the anxiousness that you feel when you're because of the extreme pressures and everything. So what you can do is that or have the mindset that okay, I have made the I have prepared for this. I've done my best. So that is more essential here. So have you put in the work? You have done your best, and also it is very necessary to understand. Okay, you can't be perfect in every aspect. So that is very essential to understand. So we are bound to make mistakes, and we learn from it. So to understand that, okay, yes. So what they have said in the chat box is yes, necessarily right. Nobody is born perfect, so we are born to make mistakes. And what's more important is that are you learning from it? Are you improving yourself for the next time? And while you're preparing to it, are you giving your best? That is more essential. So if you have given your best, the journey is more important rather than the destination, as we have already discussed in the slides.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, Monisha, do you have a question? Yes, please. You can unmute yourself and speak. Or you can just type it out in the chat box. How to create. Okay. So, how to create healthy boundaries for others' opinions and critics. Okay. So, to do that, you have to be Yes, self awareness is very essential here. So, understanding your own values, your goals, and limits is important. So, whatever feedback they're giving, know that it is constructive, and if it if it aligns to your growth, then take it as a constructive feedback, and you can try to improve it through their criticism. And also, you can also focus on the feedback from your trusted sources who have the best interest at your heart, and that way you can filter out the negativity. And also, major thing is confidence. Trust your judgment and your decisions. You have to have a belief on your own abilities, and by that you won't let others opinions undermine your own self-worth. And also, what you can do is that you can express the appreciation for the constructive feedback, constructive criticism, but you can clarify when opinions are helpful or intrusive. And also surround yourself with positive, supportive people who will encourage you and will provide you a more constructive feedback. Yes. Thank you so much for the question, Monisha. Anyone else have any other questions? If not, you guys can drop off. Thank you so much for joining in.